The alarm screamed through the monitoring station like a wounded animal. Jinho dropped his coffee cup and ran to the main console. His hands moved fast across the screen, pulling up data that made his stomach turn cold. The barrier was failing. For 3,000 years, the energy field around Earth's solar system had held strong. Now, red warnings flashed across every monitor. The ancient barrier was dying, and no one knew how to stop it. "Get me the council," Jinho said to his crew. His voice stayed calm, but his mind raced. Now, Hana rushed into the command center, her lab coat still buttoned wrong from sleeping. She was the station's chief scientist. And right now, she looked terrified. "Tell me I'm reading this wrong," she said, staring at the screens. "You're not," Jinho replied. "The barrier has maybe 3 months before complete collapse. 3 months until Earth is free." Hana sat down hard in her chair. "We're not ready. The galaxy isn't ready." Jinho knew what she meant. Everyone in the galaxy knew the stories about Earth. Parents told their children about the humans who came from that blue world, the ones who started the harvest wars. 20 species died because of them. The ancients built the barrier to lock humanity away forever. But the ancients were gone now, and their barrier was breaking. The communication screen lit up. Counselor Yuna's face appeared. Older than Jinho remembered. She looked tired, like she hadn't slept in days. Behind her, he could see other council members arguing. "Commander Jinho," Yuna said. "Your report says 3 months? Maybe less, Counselor. The decay is accelerating." Yuna closed her eyes. "Then we have a decision to make." The council meeting lasted 6 hours. Jinho watched from his station as hundreds of representatives from across the galaxy debated. Some wanted to build a new barrier. Others said they should destroy the entire solar system before humans could escape. A few brave ones suggested something different. First contact. "It's insane," said one of the military commanders on the screen. "We should send the fleet and end this threat." "What if they're all dead?" another voice argued. 3,000 years in isolation. They might have destroyed themselves. Hana pulled up old files while the debate continued. Jinho stood beside her, reading over her shoulder. Most of the historical records about Earth were damaged or encrypted. The ancients had made sure of that. "Look at this," Hana whispered, pointing to a fragment of text she'd managed to decode. "The Harvest Wars. It says something about human adaptability protocol and uncontrolled evolution." "What does that mean?" "I don't know. But it sounds like humans didn't just fight with weapons. They did something else. Something that scared the ancients so much they locked Earth away instead of destroying it." Jinho read the words again. Uncontrolled evolution. What could that mean? The council finally voted. By a narrow margin, they chose to send a first contact team instead of the military. They would approach Earth carefully, learn if humans still existed, and report back. If there was any sign of danger, the fleet would move in. Yuna appeared on the screen again, this time speaking directly to Jinho. "Commander, you'll lead the mission. Choose your team." Jinho didn't hesitate. "I want Hana as our cultural specialist, and I need a good pilot." "Take Taeyang," Yuna suggested. "He's young but skilled, and he doesn't know the old stories as well as the rest of us." Sometimes fear can be more dangerous than ignorance. That was true. Jinho had seen the terror in people's eyes when Earth was mentioned. Even saying the word human made some species nervous. 2 weeks later, their ship left the monitoring station. Taeyang sat at the pilot controls, his young face excited rather than afraid. He'd studied the mission files but didn't really understand what they were flying toward. "So we're meeting humans?" Taeyang asked as they flew through space. "What are they like?" Hana and Jinho exchanged glances. "We don't know," Hana admitted. "No one has seen a human in 3,000 years. But the stories are just stories," Jinho interrupted, though he wasn't sure he believed that. "We'll find out the truth ourselves." As they got closer to the solar system, their sensors picked up strange readings. The barrier was there, flickering like a dying light. But beyond it, they detected something unexpected. Energy signatures, technology, movement. There are stations, Taeyang said, staring at his screens. Multiple stations throughout the solar system. Some on planets, some just floating in space. Hana pulled up the data. This technology is advanced, more advanced than anything we have. Jinho felt cold again. Humans had been locked away for 3,000 years. If they'd spent that time building and developing, what had they become? Their ship passed through the failing barrier. Jinho held his breath, waiting for alarms or attacks. Nothing happened. They glided into the solar system, like any normal visitor. Mars shows signs of settlement, Taeyang reported. And there's something big on Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. Titan too. But no communications, Hana noted. No one is talking to us. No warnings. No greetings. Nothing. The silence felt wrong. If humans were here, why weren't they responding? They flew deeper into the system, past empty stations that looked abandoned but showed recent power usage. Past satellites that tracked their every move, but sent no messages. The whole solar system felt like a trap waiting to close. Should we turn back? Taeyang asked, and for the first time, he sounded nervous. Not yet, Jinho said. Take us to Titan. Those readings show active life signs. The moon grew larger on their screens. Titan was covered in domes and structures, all glowing with soft light. As they approached, finally, a signal came through. A voice, speaking in the old galactic common language. Welcome to Titan. We've been waiting for you. The communication channel opened, and a face appeared on screen. A human face. He looked ordinary. Almost boring. Not like a monster from the old stories. He had dark hair, calm eyes, and a slight smile. My name is Minho, the human said. Please, land in Base 7. We have much to discuss. Hana gripped her chair. This feels like a trap. Everything about this mission is a trap, Jinho replied. But we're here to find the truth. Land the ship. Taeyang, as their ship descended toward Titan's surface, Jinho couldn't shake one thought. Minho had said they'd been waiting. How long had humans been watching them? How much did they already know? And most importantly, what were they planning? The ship touched down in the landing bay, and through the windows, they could see Minho waiting for them. He stood alone, unarmed, still smiling that calm smile. Jinho stood up and checked his equipment. Stay alert, he told his team. Remember, these are the beings that terrified the entire galaxy. He doesn't look terrifying, Taeyang muttered. That, Hana said quietly, might be exactly what we should fear. They opened the ship's door and stepped out onto Titan, onto human soil, becoming the first non-humans to meet humanity in 3,000 years. Minho walked toward them, his hand raised in an old gesture of peace. Welcome, he said again. Earth has been alone for so long. We're glad you finally came. Jinho studied the human's face, looking for deception or threat. But all he saw was someone who looked genuinely happy to see them. That somehow made everything worse. Minho led them through the Titan station. The corridors were clean and bright. Not like the dark military bunkers Jinho had expected. Plants grew along the walls in strange patterns. Workers passed by, human workers, all of them nodding politely to the visitors. You seem surprised, Minho said, noticing how Jinho and his team kept looking around. We expected something different, Hana admitted. You expected weapons, soldiers, maybe torture chambers? Minho's smile never changed. That's what the stories say about us. Isn't it? No one answered. They followed Minho into a large room with windows showing Titan's orange sky. A table sat in the center, with food and drinks already prepared. Please, sit, Minho gestured. You must be tired from your journey. Taeyang sat down quickly, but Jinho and Hana remained standing. Minho noticed and sighed. You think the food is poisoned or drugged. I understand. But if we wanted to harm you, we could have done it when you passed through the barrier. Or when you entered our landing bay. Or in 1,000 other ways during the last hour. Why didn't you? Jinho asked directly. Because we don't want to hurt you. Minho sat down and poured himself water. We never did. Hana pulled out her tablet. I've been reading the old records. The harvest wars killed 20 species. Billions of beings died. Dunger sign. These loth. Yes. Minho said softly. They did. And humans tried to stop it. We tried to help. But no one believed us. No one understood what was happening. Then explain it to us, Jinho said, finally sitting down. We came here for the truth. Minho was quiet for a moment, choosing his words carefully. Tell me, what do the old records say about why the wars started? Hannah checked her tablet. They say humans spread something. A technology or weapon that changed other species. That caused chaos and death. That's partially true. Humans did spread something. But it wasn't a weapon. It was a gift that went wrong. Before Minho could explain further, alarms sounded throughout the station. Not danger alarms, but announcement chimes. A voice spoke over the speakers in that same old galactic language. The representative arrives in 5 minutes. All stations prepare for greeting. Minho stood up quickly. She's here earlier than expected. Good. She can explain this better than I can. Who's here? Taeyang asked. Suji. Earth's representative to the galaxy. Well, she will be. Once the galaxy accepts us again. Minho walked to the windows. She's been preparing for this meeting for over 200 years. 200 years? Hana said. That's impossible. No one lives that long. Humans do now. Minho replied simply. That's part of what we need to tell you. A ship appeared in the sky. Small and elegant. It landed on a platform outside the window. The door opened, and a woman stepped out. She looked young, maybe 25 in galactic standard years. She wore simple clothes and carried nothing with her, but the way she moved made Jinho nervous. There was something old in her eyes, something that had seen too much time pass. Suji entered the room moments later. She looked at each of them, her gaze sharp and measuring. Then she smiled. And it was different from Minho's smile. Warmer, but also sadder. Jinho, Hana, Taeyang. She said their names like she already knew them. I've watched you since you entered our system. You're braver than most. You've been watching us? Jinho asked. We've been watching everyone, Suji said, sitting at the table. For 3,000 years, we've had observation posts throughout the galaxy, hidden stations that no one could detect. We've seen everything that's happened since the barrier went up. Hana's face went pale. That's impossible. Is it? You think humans just sat behind the barrier and did nothing? Suji poured herself water. We learned. We adapted. We became very good at hiding. Why? Taeyang asked. Why watch us? Because we needed to know if the galaxy had changed. If you were ready for us to return. If you'd learned anything from the mistakes of the past. Suji drank her water slowly. The answer, unfortunately, is no. You're as afraid as you were 3,000 years ago. Jinho felt anger rise in his chest. You killed billions. You gave us reason to fear. We gave you a choice, Suji corrected him. And you chose violence. But I'm not here to argue about the past. I'm here to prepare you for the truth. She stood and walked to a control panel on the wall. The windows changed, showing images of Mars and Europa. Massive cities covered both worlds. Ships moved between stations, millions of humans going about their lives. This is what we've built during isolation, Suji explained. We spread through our solar system. We colonized every planet and moon that could support life. And we changed ourselves. The images shifted, showing humans doing impossible things. One person lifted a massive container without machines. Another worked in space without a suit. A third seemed to flicker, existing in 2 places at once. What am I seeing? Hana whispered. Evolution, Suji said. The thing that terrified the ancients. The reason they locked us away. Humans discovered how to guide our own evolution, to change ourselves deliberately, not randomly across generations but instantly, purposefully. That's what the Harvest Wars were about? Jinho asked. Yes and no. Suji changed the images again. Now they showed other species, alien beings from the old times. 3,500 years ago, humans entered the galaxy as explorers. We were excited, friendly. We shared our greatest discovery. Evolutionary catalysts, medicine that could cure any disease, extend any lifespan, heal any injury. The images showed cooperation between species, humans and aliens working together. It worked perfectly. At first, other species became healthier, stronger, lived longer. Everyone was happy. Suji's voice became harder. Then the changes didn't stop. The images darkened. Alien species began to mutate, to change in ways they didn't want. Some grew larger, others smaller. Some gained new abilities they couldn't control. The evolutionary catalysts worked too well on other species. It made them evolve too fast, beyond their control, beyond their understanding. They begged us to stop it, to reverse it, but we couldn't. We didn't understand why our medicine affected them differently than it affected us. So they blamed you, Hana said quietly. Of course they did. 20 species evolved so fast they couldn't adapt. Their minds couldn't keep up with their changing bodies. They went mad, or died. And everyone called it the Harvest Wars because they thought we were harvesting them for experiments. Suji turned away from the screens. We weren't. We were desperately trying to fix our mistake. The room was silent. Taeyang looked sick. Hana was typing frantically on her tablet, checking facts against old records. Jinho just stared at Suji. The ancients knew we didn't mean harm, Suji continued. That's why they didn't destroy Earth. They built the barrier instead. They hoped that given enough time, isolated from other species, we would learn to control our evolutionary effect. That we would cure ourselves of being a danger to others. Did you? Jinho asked. Suji smiled again. That sad smile. It took 2,000 years. 2,000 years of mistakes. Of humans evolving in ways we didn't intend. Of learning to control something that nature never meant to be controlled. But yes, we did it. For the last 1,000 years, we've been stable, safe. Then why didn't you call for help? Why didn't you tell anyone? Hana demanded. Because the barrier was also protecting us. As long as it stood, the galaxy couldn't decide to destroy us instead of studying us. We weren't ready to face you until we were absolutely certain we wouldn't cause another disaster. And now? Jinho asked. Now the barrier is failing anyway. Nature makes the choice for us. Suji walked back to the table. I've invited you here to offer something. Knowledge, understanding, and a warning. A warning about what? Your council is mobilizing the fleet. We know because we've been watching. They plan to destroy Earth before we can leave the solar system. Suji looked at each of them. It won't work, not because we'll fight back, but because coming here, entering our space, will change them. Just like it's changing you. Jinho stood up fast. What do you mean changing us? The evolutionary effect. It's weaker now, controlled better, but it still exists. You've been in our solar system for hours. Your cells are already starting to adapt. Slowly, safely, but adapting nonetheless. Suji remained calm. Don't worry, we've learned to guide the changes. You'll be fine. Better than fine, actually. But an entire military fleet, millions of unprepared beings entering our space at once? That could be catastrophic. You're lying, Taeyang said, but his voice shook. Check your own biology, Suji suggested. Hana, you're a scientist. Scan yourselves. Hana pulled out a medical scanner with trembling hands. She ran it over herself first, then over Jinho and Taeyang. Her face went white as paper. Cellular changes, she read from the scanner. Minor but measurable. Enhanced cellular repair. Increased neural connections. It's small but it's there. She looked at Suji with fear and wonder. We're evolving. Everyone who comes near humans does, Suji said gently. We can't stop it completely. But we can guide it now. Make it safe. That's what we want to offer the galaxy. Not weapons, not conquest. Just the choice to evolve safely or stay as you are. Jinho's mind raced. If this was true, if just being near humans caused evolution, then everything the galaxy feared was real. But also different than the stories. Not evil, just dangerous in a way no one had understood. The fleet is coming, he said. What happens when they arrive? Suji looked sad again. They'll change. Rapidly. Without guidance, some might benefit. Others might suffer. It will be chaos. Then we need to stop them. No, Suji said. We need to prepare them. And you're going to help us. The ship flew toward Earth. And with every kilometer, Jinho felt more strange. Not sick, just different. His thoughts moved faster. Colors looked brighter. He could hear Hana's heartbeat from across the cabin. The changes are accelerating, Hana said, checking her scanner every few minutes. The closer we get to Earth, the stronger the effect. How do you feel? Suji asked from her seat. She seemed amused by their nervousness. Weird, Taeyang admitted. Like I can see better, think better. Is this permanent? Probably. But don't worry. These changes are minor compared to what humans have experienced. You're just getting a small taste of what evolution can do when guided properly. Earth appeared on their screens. The blue and green planet looked normal at first. Then Jinho noticed something wrong. The continents weren't quite right. Cities appeared and disappeared. Clouds moved in impossible patterns. What's wrong with the planet? He asked. Nothing's wrong. You're just seeing more than you used to. Suji stood and pointed at the screen. Earth exists in multiple states at once now. Some parts are physical, some are dimensional, some are quantum. Humans learned to stretch reality during our isolation. We had nowhere else to go, so we learned to go everywhere at once. Hana stared at the planet with wide eyes. That's impossible. You keep saying that word. I don't think you understand what it means anymore. Suji smiled. Impossible just means no one has done it yet. Humans had 3,000 years to do the impossible. They landed in what Suji called the greeting zone. It was one of the few stable areas on Earth. A place where reality stayed normal for visitors. The landing pad was huge, big enough for 1,000 ships, but theirs was the only one. Not many visitors, Taeyang noted. You're the first in 3,000 years, Suji said. Of course you're alone. When they stepped outside, Jinho gasped. The sky was wrong. No, not wrong. Just more. He could see stars even though it was daytime. The air tasted like colors. Sounds had textures. His senses were working in ways they never had before. The effect is stronger here on Earth's surface, Suji explained. Don't fight it. Let your mind adapt. It'll make sense soon. A man waited for them near a building that seemed to shift shapes. Sometimes it was tall, sometimes wide. Sometimes it looked like it was made of water. The man himself looked normal enough, wearing simple clothes and holding a data pad. Welcome to Earth, the man said. My name is Woojin. I'm a historian. What kind of historian? Hana asked, still struggling to focus her eyes. The kind that exists in multiple time periods at once. Woojin replied casually. I experience history as it happens. As it happened. And as it will happen. It's confusing but useful for keeping records. Jinho felt dizzy. How is that possible? Human evolution doesn't just change the body, it changes how we interact with reality. Some of us learn to move through time differently. Others learn to exist in multiple places. Some learn to manipulate physical laws. Woojin gestured for them to follow. Come. I'll show you what we've become. They walked through Earth's surface cities. Everything felt dreamlike. Buildings existed in impossible shapes. Gardens grew plants that sang. Water flowed upward in fountains that defied gravity. People walked by, some looking normal. Others clearly changed in ways that hurt to look at. These are the enhanced, Woojin explained, pointing to a woman who seemed to glow with inner light. Humans who chose to evolve beyond baseline biology. They're stronger, smarter, longer-lived, but still recognizably human. And the others? Jinho asked, looking at a figure in the distance that seemed to be made of shifting shadows. The transcendent. Those who went further. They're harder to explain. Wu Jin led them into a building that was bigger on the inside than the outside. Most humans are still baseline, normal. They chose not to evolve. That choice is important to us. Inside the building, they found a village of normal-looking humans. Children played. Adults worked. Everyone looked ordinary, like humans from the old pictures. A man approached them, older, with gray hair. "I'm Do-hyun," he said. "I speak for the baseline preservers. We're humans who decided to stay as nature made us." "Why?" Hana asked. "Because evolution isn't always good. Because sometimes staying the same is its own kind of strength. Because we wanted to remember what it means to be simply human." Do-hyun smiled warmly. "We're not afraid of change. We just chose not to change ourselves. And Earth protects that choice. Do you feel left behind?" Taeyang asked. "When everyone else can do amazing things, do you feel left behind by people who are taller than you? Faster runners? Better artists?" Do-hyun shook his head. "Being different doesn't mean being less. The enhanced and transcendent need us baseline humans. We remind them where they came from. We keep them grounded." Wu Jin led them away from the baseline village, deeper into Earth's strange landscape. The buildings became more bizarre. Reality itself seemed to bend and twist. "Now, I need to show you something difficult," Wu Jin said. "One of the transcendent has agreed to meet you. Her name is Nari. She's evolved so far beyond baseline humanity that speaking to her is challenging, but she wanted to greet you personally." "Why?" Jinho asked nervously. "Because she exists partially in the future. She knows what's coming. And she wanted to help prepare you." They entered a chamber that made Jinho's head hurt. The walls were there and not there at the same time. Colors that shouldn't exist painted the air. And in the center stood a woman who was barely a woman anymore. Nari was beautiful and terrible at once. She looked young and ancient. Solid and transparent. Real and dreamlike. When she moved, she left copies of herself behind that faded slowly. When she spoke, her words came from everywhere and nowhere. Jinho, Hana, Taeyang. Her voice sounded like music and mathematics. "You're afraid. Good. Fear means you understand the weight of this moment." "What are you?" Hana whispered. "I am what humans can become when they stop being limited by single moments in time. I exist across probability itself. Every choice you might make, I experience simultaneously." Nari smiled. And it was like watching 1,000 smiles at once. "I am why the ancients built the barrier. Because they saw our future, and it terrified them." "Should we be terrified?" Jinho asked. "No. Because unlike the ancients, you came here to understand rather than destroy." Nari moved closer, and Jinho felt like he was standing near a star. "The fleet is coming. Millions of beings who have decided Earth must end. But their weapons won't work here." "Why not?" "Because Earth is no longer just a planet. It's a probability nexus. A point where multiple realities touch. You can't destroy something that exists in infinite states at once." Nari raised her hand, and images appeared in the air. Ships attacking, weapons firing, and nothing happening. "They'll come, they'll try, and then they'll begin to change." "You'll transform them?" Taeyang asked, horrified. "No. Their own potential will transform them. Humans don't make others evolve. We reveal what they could become. The choice is theirs, but the possibility becomes clear." Nari's face became serious. "Some will welcome it. Others will panic. Without guidance, it could be catastrophic." Wu Jin stepped forward. "That's why Suji brought you here. You need to understand what Earth really is. Not a threat, not a weapon, but a mirror that shows every species what they could become." Jinho sat down on the floor, overwhelmed. The ancients didn't lock you away to protect the galaxy from you. They locked you away to protect the galaxy from itself, from the choice you represent. Yes, Nari said softly. Evolution is terrifying when you're not ready for it. The ancients thought that given time, other species would naturally evolve to the point where they could handle the choice humans represent. But evolution is slow. 3,000 years wasn't enough. Then how do we stop disaster when the fleet arrives? Hana asked. You don't stop it. You guide it. Suji had entered the chamber silently. That's why we've been preparing. For 1,000 years, we've developed inoculation zones, spaces where the evolutionary effect is present but controlled, where beings can choose to change or stay the same safely. She pulled up images on a device, maps of space with marked zones, plans for stations, protocols for contact. We'll share this technology freely, Suji continued. Any species that wants it can have it. Any individual who wants to evolve can enter the inoculation zones safely. Those who don't want to change can stay away. Everyone gets to choose. The council will never agree to that, Jinho said. They will when they see the alternative, Nari replied. I've seen the futures. In most of them, the fleet attacks and chaos follows. Millions evolve uncontrollably. Some die. Others transcend. The galaxy fractures, but in a few futures, the ones where you help us, where you become bridges between Earth and the galaxy, everyone survives. Everyone gets stronger. Why us? Taeyang asked. We're nobody special. You're perfect because you're ordinary, Woojin explained. You're not politicians or generals. You're just explorers who came looking for truth. When you tell your story, when you show the galaxy that you've been here and survived and changed safely, they'll listen. Jinho looked at his hands. They looked normal, but he could feel the changes in every cell. He was stronger now, smarter, his senses sharper. It didn't hurt. It didn't feel wrong. It just felt like becoming more of what he already was. The fleet arrives in 2 weeks, Suji said. We have that long to convince the galaxy that Earth isn't their enemy. That we're offering a gift, not a threat. And if we fail? Hana asked. Nari's expression became sad, showing every possible future of failure at once. Then the harvest wars happen again. Not because humans want them to, but because fear and power don't mix well. Jinho stood up. Decision made. Then we better not fail. Show us everything. Teach us about these inoculation zones. Give us proof that this can work safely. We'll take it to the council ourselves. They might not believe you, Woojin warned. Then we'll make them believe, Jinho said firmly. Earth has been alone for 3,000 years. It's time to bring you home. But we'll do it right this time, Suji smiled. And for the first time, it looked hopeful rather than sad. Then let's begin. Suji led them deep underground, through tunnels that shouldn't exist. The walls glowed with soft light that seemed alive. Jinho's enhanced senses picked up patterns in everything now. The tunnels weren't just passages. They were data storage. Each rock holding information in ways he couldn't fully understand. Where are we going? Hana asked. She'd been quiet for hours, processing everything they'd seen. Earth's core, Suji replied, where we keep our memories. All of them. Every moment of human history is stored there. Why there? Taeyang was getting better at walking. The changes in his body had made him faster, more graceful, because when you want to preserve truth forever, you put it at the heart of your world. They descended for what felt like hours. Finally, they reached a massive chamber. It was spherical. Walls made of something between crystal and metal. Images floated in the air like ghosts, sounds whispered from every direction, and in the center stood a man who looked ancient despite his young face. I'm Sang-hoon, the man said, keeper of memory. I experience all of human history simultaneously. Every moment from the first humans to now plays in my mind at once. That sounds painful, Hana said softly. It is, but it's necessary. Someone must remember the truth, especially when lies are easier to believe. Sang-hoon walked toward them, and images followed him like a cloak. You want to understand the Harvest Wars. You want to know what really happened. I can show you, but not by telling. You must experience it. How? Jinho asked. Neural transfer. I'll share my memories directly with your minds. You'll see history as I saw it. As it actually happened. Sang-hoon gestured to 3 chairs that appeared from the floor. It won't hurt. Your evolved minds can handle it now. Before you entered Earth's space, this would have broken you, but you've changed enough. They sat. Jinho felt nervous but determined. They needed to know the truth to convince the council. Sang-hoon placed his hands on their heads, and reality exploded. Suddenly Jinho was elsewhere, else when. He stood on a space station 3,500 years ago. Humans moved around him. Excited and friendly. They were meeting aliens for the first time. Different species, all curious about each other. A human scientist, not Sang-hoon but someone he remembered being, presented their discovery. A medical advancement. Evolutionary catalysts that could heal anything. Cure any disease. Extend life indefinitely. The aliens were amazed and grateful. The memory shifted. Jinho watched as the medicine was shared freely. Humans asked for nothing in return. They just wanted to help. Species across the galaxy began using the catalysts. At first, everything was wonderful. Diseases vanished. Lifespans doubled, tripled. Everyone celebrated humanity's gift. Then the changes started. An insectoid species began growing larger. First just a little, then more and more. They couldn't stop. Their buildings became too small. Their ships couldn't fit them. Some grew so large they collapsed under their own weight. An aquatic species evolved to breathe air, but they didn't want to. Their entire culture was underwater. They couldn't go home anymore. They suffocated on land and drowned in water, caught between 2 states of being. A telepathic species suddenly couldn't turn off their abilities. They heard everyone's thoughts constantly, all the time. Madness spread through their entire civilization in weeks. Jinho felt the human scientists panic. They tried to reverse the changes. Tried to stop the evolution. Nothing worked. The catalysts had awakened something in other species that couldn't be turned off, and humans didn't understand why. The memory shifted again. Now he was in a war council. Not human. Alien. Species who'd been changed were demanding answers, demanding cures, demanding revenge. They believed humans had done this deliberately, that it was an attack, not a gift gone wrong. They're transforming us into weapons, one alien leader said, or experiments. We must stop them before they finish harvesting our species. The Harvest Wars began. Jinho experienced battles from both sides. Humans desperately trying to help, to fix their mistake. Aliens desperately trying to survive, to reverse their unwanted evolution. Nobody won. 20 species went extinct, unable to adapt to their rapid changes. Finally, the ancients intervened. The oldest species in the galaxy, the ones who'd seen civilizations rise and fall. They studied humans carefully, a memory of an ancient leader addressing the galaxy. Humans are not evil. They're young, and didn't understand what they created. But they are dangerous, not through malice but through their very nature. Their presence accelerates evolution in all species around them. Some species benefit, others die. Until we understand why, until humans understand themselves, they must be separated. The barrier went up. Humans fought it at first, then accepted it. Jinho felt their desperation turn to determination. They would fix themselves. They would learn to control what they were. Then, they would rejoin the galaxy safely. The memory fast-forwarded through 3,000 years. Jinho watched humans evolve in isolation. Mistakes were made. Horrible mistakes. Humans changed in ways they didn't intend. Some became monsters. Others became gods. Many died learning to control their gift. But slowly, painfully, they learned. They discovered that their evolutionary effect came from something in human DNA. Something unique. They learned to control it, to guide it, to make it safe. The last 1,000 years showed humans finally, carefully, successfully managing their nature. The memory ended. Jinho gasped and found himself back in the chamber, tears running down his face. Beside him, Hana was crying too. Taeyang looked shaken but determined. It was an accident, Hana whispered. All of it. Just a terrible accident. Yes, Sang-hoon said, removing his hands. But the galaxy doesn't remember it that way. They remember the deaths, the fear, the monsters. They forgot that humans tried to help. Why didn't you tell them? Jinho demanded. Why not send this memory out? Make them understand. The barrier blocked all communication. And even if it didn't, would they believe? Memory can be faked. Data can be manipulated. Only direct experience convinces people. That's why you three are so important. You've experienced both sides now. You've felt the changes and survived. You've seen the truth. An alarm sounded through the chamber. Suji appeared. Running. The fleet has arrived early. 2 weeks became 2 hours. They're at the barrier remains now. How many ships? Jinho asked, standing quickly. Millions. Every species in the galaxy sent forces. They're preparing to attack. Suji looked scared for the first time. We need to stop this now, or everything we've prepared for 1,000 years means nothing. They ran back to the surface. The sky above Earth had changed. Ships filled the space above them like a metal cloud. So many ships that they blocked out the sun. The entire galactic fleet had come to destroy Earth. Jinho watched the screens in the command center. Fleet commanders were arguing over communications, deciding how to attack a planet that existed in multiple dimensions at once. They can't win, Woojin said, appearing beside them. Earth's defenses aren't weapons. Any ship that gets close will start evolving. Crews will change. Some will panic. It'll be chaos. Can we talk to them? Hana asked. They won't listen. Counselor Yuna's face appeared on screen from the fleet's command ship. She looked tired and frightened. Jinho, we've been trying to reach you for hours. What have they done to you? Nothing bad, Jinho replied. Counselor, you need to order the fleet to stand down. I've seen the truth. I know what really happened 3,000 years ago. I'm sure they told you a very convincing story, Yuna said. But we can't risk. This isn't a story, Jinho shouted. I experienced it. Direct memory transfer. I felt what happened. Humans didn't attack anyone. They tried to help and it went wrong. They spent 3,000 years fixing themselves. They're not a threat anymore. They're offering us a choice. A choice to become like them, another commander interrupted. To lose what makes us who we are. No. A choice to evolve safely if we want to. Or stay as we are if we don't. Jinho pulled up data Suji had given him. They've developed inoculation zones. Controlled spaces where evolution happens slowly and safely. Where you can choose what changes and what stays the same. It works. I'm proof. I've changed, but I'm still me. Still Jinho. Just better. Or so you believe, Yuna said sadly. Jinho. I'm sorry. But the decision has been made. The fleet will fire in 5 minutes. Goodbye. The screen went dark. They're really going to do it, Taeyang said quietly. Suji stood at the window, watching the ships above. Then we show them why weapons won't work, not because we'll fight back, but because reality doesn't work the way they think it does anymore. The fleet fired. Millions of weapons, energy beams, missiles, everything they had. All of it aimed at Earth. Nothing happened. The weapons entered Earth's atmosphere and changed. Energy beams became light shows. Missiles turned into flowers. Projectiles transformed into music. Every weapon evolved into something harmless before it could strike. What? Yuna's face reappeared on screen. Shocked. How? How? Earth doesn't fight. Nari's voice came through the communication system, somehow reaching every ship at once. Earth evolves. Everything that enters our space changes. Including you. Jinho watched the fleet on sensors. The ships closest to Earth were already reporting strange readings. Equipment working better than it should. Crew members feeling stronger. Thinking faster. The evolutionary effect was spreading through the fleet. Some crews panicked. Others felt amazed. All of them were changing whether they wanted to or not. This is what happened 3,000 years ago. Sang-hoon's voice joined Nari's. Uncontrolled exposure to human space. This is why the wars started. But now we can guide it. Please. Let us help you. Let us show you how to control these changes safely. The fleet hung in space, weapons useless, crews evolving, caught between fear and wonder, and Earth waited patiently for their answer. The fleet hung in space like a frozen storm, millions of beings experiencing changes they didn't understand. On the command ship, Yuna gripped her chair as her own body began to shift. She could feel it now, her thoughts moving faster, her vision sharper, her old injuries from years ago fading away. Counselor, her medical officer reported, voice shaking. The changes are spreading through all ships. 70% of all crew members showing measurable evolution. Some ships are requesting permission to retreat. Retreat where? Yuna asked. We're already changing. Distance won't reverse it. On Earth's surface, Suji watched the fleet through her screens. Beside her, Jinho and his team stood ready. They'd prepared for this moment, but it was still terrifying to watch. We need to reach them now, Jinho said. Before panic turns to violence. Agreed, Suji replied. She activated a broadcast to every ship. This is Suji of Earth. We know you're frightened. We know you're changing. But you're safe. Please. Allow us to send help. We can guide these changes. Make them controlled. Make them yours to choose. Silence from the fleet. Then, slowly, Yuna's face appeared on screen again. She looked different already. Younger, somehow. Stronger. What kind of help? She asked carefully. Ambassadors. Humans trained in controlled contact. They'll board your ships and establish inoculation zones. Small areas where evolution is guided, rather than random. Anyone who wants to stop changing can enter these zones. Anyone who wants to continue evolving safely can be guided. Suji paused. And anyone who wants these changes reversed, we'll try our best to help them. You can reverse it? A commander from another ship asked desperately. Sometimes. Not always. It depends how far the evolution has progressed. Suji was honest. But we can stop it from going further. That's what we learned in 3,000 years. Control, choice, safety. A woman appeared in the command center. She wore simple clothes and carried medical equipment. Jinho recognized her from his time on Earth. Bora. One of the ambassadors specially trained for this moment. I'll go first, Bora said. Let them see what a controlled contact specialist can do. She boarded a small ship and flew toward the fleet. Hundreds of weapons locked onto her. But no one fired. They waited, desperate for answers, for help, for anything that would make sense of what was happening to them. Bora docked with Yuna's command ship. The counselor met her at the airlock, guards surrounding them both. But when Bora stepped through, something changed in the air. The guards stopped feeling anxious. The rapid changes in their bodies slowed, became gentle rather than frightening. What are you doing? Yuna asked, feeling the difference immediately. Creating an inoculation zone, a field where I control the evolutionary energy. Watch. Bora gestured to one of the guards. You. What do you want? Do you want these changes to continue or stop? The guard looked at his hands, flexing fingers that were stronger than they'd been an hour ago. I don't know. What will I become? That's your choice. I can show you options. Paths your evolution might take. You pick which one feels right, or you pick none at all and we freeze you as you are now. Bora pulled out a device that showed holographic projections. This is what humans learned. Evolution doesn't have to be random or scary. It can be chosen. Word spread through the fleet. Other ships requested ambassadors. Hundreds of Bora's colleagues launched from Earth, each heading to different vessels. Slowly, carefully, they brought calm to chaos. Jinho watched it happen and felt proud. Proud of humanity for spending 1,000 years learning this. Proud of the galaxy for being brave enough to accept help, but not everyone accepted. Some ships fled, trying to escape before the changes went too far. Others refused ambassadors, believing it was a trick. A few opened fire on Earth again. Desperate and afraid, Earth's defenses responded the same way. Weapons evolved into harmless things, and the ships that attacked found their changes accelerating. Uncontrolled. We need to help them, Hana said, watching one fleeing ship on sensors. Its crew was evolving too rapidly. Panicking. They won't accept help, Woojin noted. Then we'll give it anyway. Jinho turned to Suji. Send me. I'll go to that ship. I'm not fully human but not fully alien anymore either. Maybe they'll trust me. Suji nodded. Take Taeyang and Hana with you. You three are the bridge we need. They flew to the panicking ship in a small transport. The vessel was spinning out of control, systems failing as the crew struggled with their changes. Jinho forced a docking connection and entered. Inside was chaos. Crew members had evolved in different ways. Some had grown larger. Others had developed strange abilities they couldn't control. One was accidentally phasing through walls. Another couldn't stop reading everyone's thoughts. We're here to help, Jinho announced. I know you're scared. I was too. But we can guide this. Make it manageable. The captain, a being from a species Jinho didn't recognize, pointed a weapon at him with a hand that now had too many fingers. Stay back. You did this to us. No. We all did this together. By attacking Earth without understanding what it was. By letting fear control us. Jinho kept his voice calm. But we can fix it. Right now, let us help. Hana stepped forward, her medical scanner active. Captain, your changes are accelerating because you're fighting them. Evolution responds to stress. The more you panic, the faster it happens. You need to calm down and let us create a safe zone. How do we trust you? Look at us, Taeyang said. We've been on Earth for days. We've changed too. But we're okay. Better than okay. Our choices are our own. Slowly, the captain lowered his weapon. Make it stop. Please. Jinho activated a device Bora had given him. An inoculation zone spread through the ship. Immediately, everyone felt it. The rapid changes slowed. The panic eased. Bodies that had been shifting uncontrollably stabilized. There, Jinho said gently. Now you can choose. Keep the changes you want. Reverse the ones you don't. Take your time deciding. No one's forcing anything. The captain looked at his hands. At the extra fingers. After a moment, he nodded, and the fingers slowly faded back to his original number. But he kept other changes. The improved eyesight, the faster healing, the sharper mind. I get to choose? He asked wonderingly. You always did. That's what humans want the galaxy to understand. Evolution is a choice, not a curse. Over the next days, the fleet slowly calmed. Most ships accepted ambassadors. The inoculation zones were established. Crew members were given time to decide what changes to keep and which to reverse. Some chose to evolve significantly. Others returned to their original forms. Most picked something in between. A week later, the fleet was stable. The ambassadors had done their work, and the galaxy's leaders gathered for a meeting, this time on Earth's surface, in the greeting zone, where reality stayed normal. Counselor Yuna looked different now. She'd chosen to keep most of her changes. She stood straighter, looked younger, moved with more energy. But her mind was still hers. Her personality unchanged. Earth will rejoin the galaxy, she announced to the assembled leaders. Under conditions, these inoculation zones will be established at every point of human contact. Any being can choose to enter or avoid them. Humans will share their technology freely, but they'll also teach others how to use it safely. Suji stepped forward. We're not asking for territory or power. We're offering a choice. The choice to evolve or stay the same. That's all we've wanted since the beginning. Do-hyun, representing the baseline preservers, also spoke. And we're proof that humans respect that choice. I'm as human as my enhanced and transcendent cousins. I chose not to evolve beyond baseline. And my choice is honored. The same will be true for all species. The galaxy's leaders voted. It wasn't unanimous. Some species still feared humanity. But the majority agreed to a trial period. Earth would be allowed to establish human zones throughout the galaxy, spaces where evolutionary energy was present but controlled. Anyone could visit, evolve safely if they wanted, or stay away if they didn't. 5 years passed. Jinho commanded the starship Harmony, the first mixed-species crew in galactic history. Humans and aliens working together. Some evolved, some baseline, all by choice. They explored beyond known space, discovering new worlds, new species, offering them the same choice Earth offered everyone. Hana ran the Institute of Evolutionary Studies on Titan. Species from across the galaxy came to learn about controlled evolution. Some to teach their people how to guide it, others to understand how to prevent it. All knowledge was shared freely. Taeyang had chosen to undergo significant enhancement. He was stronger, faster, smarter than he'd been. But also, still himself, still the eager young pilot who'd been nervous about meeting humans. Now he trained others, showing them that change didn't mean losing yourself. The human zones spread across the galaxy. Some were popular, always full of beings curious about evolution. Others stayed empty, respected but avoided. That was fine. The point was choice. New species were discovered and given the same options. Some evolved quickly, embracing the changes. Others stayed as they were, preferring their original forms. Humanity helped both equally. The galaxy was transformed. Not through conquest or war, but through offering a choice no one had before. The choice to become more than what nature made you, or the choice to celebrate what you already were. On Earth, in a garden that existed in multiple realities at once, Nari sat with several young beings from different species. They were students, learning about evolution and choice and the responsibility that came with power. Why did the ancients fear you? One student asked. Because they confused power with danger, Nari replied, her form shifting through probabilities. They thought that being able to change meant we would force others to change. They didn't understand that true power is giving others the choice you were given. And what was that choice? To become what we wanted to be rather than what we were told to be. That's what 3,000 years of isolation taught us. Not how to be more powerful, but how to be more free. Another student, already evolved through a human zone, asked, "Will all species eventually evolve? Will we all become like humans?" "No," Nari said firmly. Because evolution isn't about becoming human, it's about becoming the best version of yourself. For some, that means changing everything. For others, it means changing nothing. Both paths are equally valid. Far out in space, on the Harmony, Jinho stood on the bridge looking at the stars. His crew worked around him, a dozen species all cooperating. Some were evolved, some baseline, some human, most not. All chosen to be there. "Captain," his communications officer called. "We're receiving a signal from an unknown species. They're asking about Earth, about the stories they've heard." "What kind of stories?" Jinho asked. "The old ones, about humans who terrorized the galaxy, about the harvest wars. They want to know if the humans are still dangerous." Jinho smiled. "Tell them yes. Tell them humans are still dangerous. Not because we'll hurt them, but because we'll offer them a choice they can never unlearn. The choice to evolve. Once you know that choice exists, You can never pretend it doesn't. That's the most dangerous gift anyone can give. Reeler. SSA. Should I tell them to avoid us? No. Tell them they're welcome. Tell them about the human zones. About the inoculation protocols. About the baseline preservers who prove that not evolving is also a valid choice. Jinho looked at his diverse crew. Tell them Earth was isolated for 3,000 years because the galaxy was afraid of us. And they were right to be afraid. Not of what we would do to them, but of what we would offer them. The freedom to choose their own path. That's terrifying when you're used to fate deciding for you. The message was sent. And somewhere in the galaxy, another species made their choice about whether to seek out humanity or avoid them. Both choices were respected. Earth was no longer alone. And the galaxy was better for it. Not because everyone evolved. Not because everyone stayed the same. But because for the first time in history, everyone got to choose. That was humanity's real gift. Not evolution, not power, but choice. And that was why they had terrorized the galaxy. Not through violence, but by showing everyone that the future didn't have to be predetermined. That change was possible. That you could be more than what you were born to be. Some found that terrifying. Others found it liberating. Both were right. And humanity welcomed them all.